Okay.
You are live.
Welcome, everybody. Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, you do.
We have a quorum. Okay, let's begin on our lengthy agenda here. Committee called to order, motion to approve minutes prior committee meetings. Motion by Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries. Privilege of the floor for public comment. Any public comment? Anybody from the floor would like to speak to the committee? Any public comment? Anybody like to speak during privilege of the floor? Any privilege of the floor? Hearing none, we'll go on to action item. Request for transfers of funds as attached for committee approval. Number 2, request items to be discussed by the county administrator.
Oh, no, we do need action on that transfer of funds.
Oh, I'm sorry. I request a motion for transfer of funds as attached for committee approval, the usual journal changes here. Supervisor Runyon and second by Supervisor Molina. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to number 2. Journal report of transfers approved by county administrator staff for September 22. Any questions on that?
No.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion for 2A. Supervisor Driscoll.
Nope, you don't need action on 2A.
Okay.
That's just an
Okay.
B, request to appropriate funds in the amount of $48,720 from budget code A896 vehicle reserve to budget code A3410.230.1 fire prevention control automotive equipment reserve to cover the cost of replacing a vehicle. Who'd like to bring that to the floor? Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Runyon on the second. This is for the fire coordinator's replacement vehicle. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none.
That is in their reserve budget.
And it's in the reserve fund there. They have been having problems getting the correct size vehicle. It's a Tahoe and yeah. So. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None, motion carries. 2C, request to extend current contract with New York State Industries for Disabled Inc. from January of 2023 to December 31, 2023 for mail fulfillment services and to add options to extend for up to 2 one-year extensions with an annual CPI adjustment not to exceed 3%. Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion. Supervisor Driscoll.
The ladies at the front table, everything has been working out well. With that, the mail.
Oh, that's a question for-
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
We've been getting the billings much better. We've been getting it timely and getting that.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Good question. Thank you. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries for 2C. On to 2D, request for transfer of funds in the amount of $7 from budget code 1011 county administrator salaries to budget code 1670.120 mailroom salaries overtime. Supervisor Driscoll, Supervisor Runyon, discussion.
No discussion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2E, on behalf of Public Health, request for a new contract with New York State Department of Health for childhood lead poisoning prevention programs commencing October 1st, 21 and terminating September 20th, 26. Supervisor Driscoll brings it to the floor and a second. Supervisor Thomas, discussion. And just for context on this is because of New York State coming in late with it, and so it missed the previous committee meetings, and they need this in order to be able to submit for reimbursements this year. Is
But
that
on a
correct?
positive note, they increased the amount, and that's what you'll see in the next resolution request. So good and bad.
So Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None? Motion carries. And on F, as Assistant County Administrator had said, this is to now reflect the receipt of grant funding from New York State, the amount of $13,798. That's an increase of what we had been getting before. Motion by Supervisor Thomas, second by Supervisor Runyon. Discussion. Call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Acting County Administrator. On to County Treasurer, Mike Swan, County Treasurer. Mike, you're lined up here. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Item A is in relation to the Government Accounting Standards Board. They have requested now this Gatsby 87 release that we account for all the leases that the county has with whoever. And to comply with that, one of the first things we have to do is we have to set the threshold for how much of a lease is in order for it to be reported to Gatsby. So we have included in here, and we basically use the same thing that we've been using for several of the other types of requests like this. So basically, I need a resolution that establishes the threshold for the reporting of the leases. It really doesn't mean anything. It's not a budget thing. It's nothing else. It's just something that my office now has to comply with. So that's basically it.
And Treasurer Swan, this came out on the auditor's report. Is that correct?
No, this is a new thing from the government, the government board that we have to report to. They are requesting that we do this additional step.
And the amounts you have listed here, land, 25,000, buildings, 50,000, machinery and equipment, 5,000, vehicles, 5,000. Your office came up with those numbers.
Yeah, we base that on basically what everybody else is doing.
Okay.
So that we're in compliance with.
All right. Entertain a motion. Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Runyon on the second. Questions, discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, Chairman
Mike,
Garrett.
on the machinery equipment, is that? If you were to lease, if the DPW is to lease something for a week, is that what this is?
Well, I'm not sure if a week lease is involved in this. I think it's yearly, and as long as the lease amount is under that threshold, we don't have to report it. I don't think it's weekly.
And we ran into something leasing a roller to do some work or something and we had to go back to the insurance company and increase something. And that's the only reason why I asked if 5,000 is pretty low on it, equipment.
This has nothing to do with our insurance. This is strictly a reporting requirement. And other than making more work in my office, it really doesn't affect anything.
That's true.
Further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor of item 3A, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None? Motion carries. 3B, request to delete taxes in the amount of $803.39 on town of Queensberry map parcel. And if we can also put in the request to delete taxes on the amount of $165.55 on the Queensberry tax map parcel. Together, motion to bring those to the floor. Yep, Supervisor Runyon, Supervisor Driscoll, discussion.
Basically, these are two properties that have gone through our auction multiple times, never have sold because of the location and or size of them. There are already two resolutions that were passed by the board to deed these properties to adjoining owners. Now we just need to clean up the other end of it, to clean our books up, to delete the taxes.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries for 3B and C. 3D is a request to refund taxes in the amount of $12,033.99 on a town of Queensberry tax map parcel owned by Bay Road Development LLC. Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Runyon, Supervisor Molino on the second. Discussion. Supervisor Treasurer Swan.
This is the Fowler Square property in the town of Queensberry. The assessor originally put it on as fully taxable. even though the owner had applied to get into the pilot program, payment of lieu of taxes, it went to court. The judge sided with the owners of the property and said that it should be tax exempt, so the amount of money that they paid in taxes has to be refunded. This is a court order. And the school district is doing their own as well as the town.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 3E, request to extend a contract with Capital Markets Advisors LLC for advisory services for bond sales commencing January 1st, 2023 and terminating December 31st, 2025, 2-year contract. Motion to bring it to the floor, Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Runyon on the second.
This is our fiscal advisors. We've been using this company for several years since I've been here. We work very well with them. Although I do not anticipate getting any bonds in the next couple of years, we do need a fiscal advisor on hand because every year we have strict filing requirements that have to be done with the federal government and the state government and some of the advisory boards that are out there. And really the only person that has the ability to do that is a fiscal advisor. So that's basically why we need them on for the next 2 years.
Yep, Supervisor Driscoll.
Are we saying 2 years or 3 years? Because it says 3 years in here.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
it should be 2 years because it's going, well, 23, 24, and 25. I'm sorry, 3 years.
Yeah, my mistake.
That's all right.
I took 23, subtracted 20 or 5 and got 2.
That's 2025. Yeah. So it is 3 years. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. I'll move it.
I think we did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
We're set. Treasurer Swan, are you saying that Capital Markets as advisors also does advisory services beyond bond sales and for other
Yes.
compliance?
Yes, they basically are the ones as part of the contract that takes care of our compliance. In other words, because we have bonds out there, we have to file with all the regulatory boards, federal, state, and there's a bunch of them. And basically, they take care of that for us.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of 3E, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to number 4, this is referrals from county facilities. Chaired by Supervisor Bruno. I spoke with Supervisor Bruno yesterday. He is not available here. We have 4A, request to increase capital project number 388 to construct airport T hangars in the amount of $1,500,000. Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Runyon on the second discussion. We have DPW chief here if there's any questions. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. 4B, request to appropriate funds in the amount of $6,000 from budget code 892, which is the reserve for airport repair and projects. Budget code 5610.413 for repair and maintenance of building property to cover the cost of seamless gutters. Supervisor Molino on first and a second by Supervisor Runyon on the second there. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, request to authorize closure of the following capital projects and return any remaining funds to the funding source listed. I'm just going to name off the big ones here. Capital projects 8399, airport snow sweeper. Capital project H387, airport fuel farm. Just those two, correct? Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Runyon on second. Discussions? Hearing none, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to building and grounds, request to appropriate funds in the amount of $6,000, which is the rehab of county buildings, to budget code 1620, building repairs and maintenance, to cover the cost of seamless gutters in the amount of probably about $6,000. But motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Thomas, Supervisor Runyon on the second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Those gutters are planned to get up before winter time, correct? That's correct. Number 5 is referral from Criminal Justice Public Safety Committee chaired by Supervisor Gerasi. This is from the sheriff, James Parr Sheriff. 5A, request to amend the Warren County budget 2022 in the amount of $158,000 to reflect appropriate revenues and expenses for the first half of the school resource officer service agreements. Motion bring to the floor. Thank you Supervisor Driscoll, Supervisor Runyon on the second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? None, motion carries. 5B is a request to appropriate funds in the amount of $175,000 from budget code A909, which is the general fund unappropriated surplus. Put it into budget code A3110.442, which is the general sheriff's law enforcement automotive gas and oil to address a deficit created by a significant increase in gasoline costs. Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Runyon, Supervisor Thomas on the second. Discussion. Supervisor Thomas.
There was $160,000 budgeted for 2022. I understand that they might be over, but I don't think that they need $175,000 to take care of well, even if it's September through the end of the year, that's only a quarter, a little better. So I would recommend that that number be reduced.
Do you have a recommended amount?
Well, I budgeted 200,000 for 2023. Or you requested that, so I would say if we give them $50,000, I would think that 50, 60. I would think that would be close.
Okay.
That would put him 210,000.
You know, I did put in a request to the sheriff to make sure that they comb through all of their budget items to find it, because appropriating out of fund balance, especially on the department with
That just seems like a lot, you know.
$25 million.
That's more than that's double the amount that was budgeted, over double
Uh-huh.
for the rest of the year, unless they've accumulated expense.
Go ahead, County Administrator.
I can see where they're at right now.
Yes. And I'll turn my attention over to Superintendent Hajos. They get all their fuel from the fuel farms, right? On the county cost of fuel.
They do, and as you recall earlier this year, I actually asked for more funding in my budget for fuel as well, and as you know, I do the kind of the projections every month, and I believe we asked for $200,000, and now we're showing that we're gonna give some of that money back, but we're not gonna use it. I don't know what that number is. I probably will have it within the next couple of days, but yes, they do get all their fuel from the fuel farms.
From the top of your head, and general cost of gallon of gas.
Left for towns, municipalities left, diesel is $3.27. Maybe a little bit more than that, and probably somewhere around a 3, high 2 to 3 range for gasoline, and that's mostly what they use. But that's gone up probably from 2.15 or something from last year.
So even if you added a third onto what was budgeted was 160,000 for the year there. So, yeah.
They're already over budget by $75,000.
Are they really?
Wow.
Yes, why?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm gonna guess that's through, at least through September. So if you divide that out, it'd be needing 313,000 this year, and they have what, 160.
160, yeah. Yeah.
Well, their numbers at the jail have increased. I don't know if that has a direct relationship to additional, well, more revenue, but also additional use of gasoline.
you know, it kind of.
Oh, I thought you were
Maybe
talking.
we should have the same, goes
No,
back to the.
I'm still on.
Yeah.
hold.
Yeah, we're on fuel here, so. So we're on fuel. So,
So I guess the 175 is probably not out of the ballpark.
they don't use it, it comes back
Back
into it
anyway.
in there.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
okay,
Thank you.
so we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is tough, you know, we live on road patrol, you know, that is what they do, just like DPW. Does trucks on the road there, and it's a hard one. If you're not out there, you're not doing your work. So I did ask, so what control measures, because in all budgeting. When the prices go up, you think, okay, what are we gonna do? And what creative solutions are there? And how do you reroute? What do you do for timing and items like that? So. And there was, so the sheriff said they did all they could. 5C, request to amend Warren County budget for 2022 in the amount of 75,000 to reflect receipt of revenues for the boarding of inmates. Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Thomas, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. On to referrals from Human Services Committee chaired by Supervisor Driscoll. This is from Social Services, and it's a request to amend the budget in the amount of 160,623 to reflect receipt of funding from New York State TDA for Code Blue Shelter. Who'd like to bring that to the floor? Supervisor Driscoll and Supervisor Runyon on the second. Discussion. Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Assistant Commissioner Nina Mastriani, Commissioner Hanch, and really everyone over at Social Services for their time and energies, creativity, and taking a real desperate and serious situation and negotiating it out and doing a lot of good work in order to get us in compliance with state regulations, but also in service to the entire county. So kudos to them and again, thank you.
Absolutely. Further discussion? Hearing none. Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Motion carries. On to number 8, referral from Octax Coordination Committee chaired by Supervisor Dickinson.
Number 7.
Whoops.
Technology.
Referral from Legislative Rules and Government. I checked it off already. So. Chaired by Supervisor Stroud, and this is from Information Technology, and this is to appropriate funds amount of 20,000 from Budget Code 895, which is computer reserves, to purchase computers to the Information Tech Department budget to for the purchase of computers and related software. So this is coming out of reserve to purchase. Supervisor Runyon, Supervisor Thomas. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to 8 from Octax, and it's a request to appropriate funds in the amount of 125,000 for the Octax Reserve, budget code A881 to budget code 86417.002.480.06, which is enhanced promotion to provide funding for sponsorship of the 2023 FISU World University Games snowboarding competitions, which will be held at Gore Mountain. So Supervisor Molino on the first, Supervisor Runyon on the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, and it's Supervisor Molino, is this the one that where the button is being made up?
The buttons are being made from the Lake George Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay. Okay. So. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Referrals from Public Works chaired by Supervisor Conover, and this is from the Department of Public Works. Here, the first one is to request to amend the budget of 2022 for $25,000 to reflect additional revenue for the payment to the Village of Lake George. Motion to bring it to the floor, Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Thomas. Discussion. Now on this, just to be clear, this is additional revenue and it's going to. Or are we retaining?
Going to.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9B is a request to close capital project H371, which is the Horkin Avenue Sewer Extension, CR 31. Return estimated funds in the amount of 2,174.66 to A909, which is unappropriated surplus. So that'll go towards taking care of the fuel for the sheriff. Motion bring it to the floor. Supervisor Runyon on first, Supervisor Driscoll on the second. That project's, wow, it's good to have that one all finally
Yes.
closed up, isn't it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And 10, Finance Committee action was required on the following personnel agenda items contingent upon approval by the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee. These are agenda items 3A, 4, 5, and 6. Let's take a look at number 3, request from the county attorney here for appropriation of funds for $25,164.90 from unappropriated surplus fund balance. And that's to cover for the hospitalization. Their request appropriation funds from budget code unappropriated. They should have the budget code it goes to, correct?
Yeah, they're in the,
Personnel
they're in
agenda,
the, well, they're in the agenda attachment, but they're going to hospitalization and dental.
okay,
Dental's $295.
Well, it's coming from.
Okay, thank you. Motion to bring it to the floor. Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Driscoll. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 of the personnel agenda items is a request for an appropriation of funds for $60,000 from budget code 909, unappropriated fund balance, the budget code 1185.35, which is the coroner medical examiner fees. And this is for the autopsy costs for the remainder of 2022. Supervisor Driscoll brings it to the floor, second by Supervisor Runyon. Any further discussion? Supervisor?
Just in the past, we've heard, I believe, from Coroner Tim Murphy that this is something that happens most years, but it could be a lower number. Some years it could be a higher number. Some years their projection and their budget is kind of a guesstimate at best.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm thinking of $300,000. What was that? On medical fees?
That was the psychiatric review.
That one there. Yeah, that was another tough one to really peg on the budget. Okay. Do we have a first and a second on that one?
Yes.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor of 10-4? Say aye.
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 And opposed?
I'm not opposed. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I wanted to ask a question though. That's fantastic.
Yeah, more
back to
passes.
A.
Go- Yeah,
Back to that A.
Yep.
Aren't we self-insured for health insurance in the county?
yes, we
So
are.
why are we taking that money that is short out of the fund balance, not out of, don't they have a reserve fund on that?
Can't take it out of the insurance reserve. It has to, this has to do with the budget for the individual department, and they're basically
paid
short.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Sorry, I apologize.
No, that's quite all right. It's a budget housekeeping, if I can
Yes.
call it that.
Yep.
Really, that, and Supervisor Molino, probably at the end of the year, that there's going to be hospitalization that isn't used and it's going to roll into the unappropriated fund balance. So it washes through. 10-5, referral from Criminal Justice Public Safety, and this is a request to amend the table of organizations and salary to increase the salary of coordinating attorney public defender. We need to correct these numbers from $87,338 to $103,030, effective retroactive to November 7, 2022. And those differences is the $2.75 per year raise, $5,720. That's why those numbers are off. Syncopation and timing. Who'd like to bring that to the floor? Supervisor Runyon and Supervisor Thomas on the second discussion.
This is funded, sorry. This is funded with fuel airing. Down.
It is 100%.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, referral from legislative rules, government options here, information tech. And this is to amend the table of organization and salary schedule. To create and fill the new position of programmer 1 with an annual salary of $65,942 and delete the position of computer programmer 2 with the annual salary of $65,695 effective November 21st, 2022. Supervisor Runyon on the first, Supervisor Merlino on a second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are we on depending items?
Yep.
No pending items. As most of us were in on the personnel committee discussions earlier about formula with SUNY Adirondack. We'll get together with the personnel chair and have organized for a joint committee meeting to discuss over what is it, the adjusting of the sponsor's contribution to SUNY Adirondack. From here on forward. Supervisor.
I just had one question, Chairman, just for clarification.
Yeah.
Were we gonna have a conversation with our colleagues from Washington County during this process, or were they gonna be included in with this with the joint meeting, or exactly how is that gonna all happen?
Right, thinking through the whole efficiency of operations and not to be like government and just drag this thing out forever and beat it till it's dead. I was thinking that the more we can get our ducks in a row first and put it over to Washington County, and Washington County, speaking with, I say, the budget officer there, and who is in touch with their committee that deal with this, that they are in favor and concept of the realignment, because to them, it's an easy yes.
Yeah, okay, I
Let's
just
say
wanted
that.
to make sure I understood. There's a lot of conversation going on.
That's right. But for process, we do need to bring them in because it will be a collaborative agreement.
Okay.
But we should really do our homework first, see what Warren County can come up with, and then put it forward to them. And I will continue to be in contact with Washington County for any of their suggestions as well.
Yeah, that's.
Privilege of the floor and public comment. Privilege of the floor. Anybody would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll close privilege of the floor and public comments. Take a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Molino, Supervisor Runyon on second. All those in favor, rise and go. I mean, say
Rise and go. Aye.